Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd make a brief video about LED lighting. And what I know about LED lighting is very little. I've read a few articles that were in the African Violet Society of America journal. And I've done some independent reading, but the technicalities of lighting are a little bit beyond me. But luckily, I've discovered a way to get some help for myself with that using my phone as a light meter, and I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. First, let me just show you what's blooming. Isn't that beautiful? That's Buckeye Nostalgia. This is the sport of LE Meteor shower that I showed you and featured in a previous video. This is Buckeye Day Dreamer. And initially, when I saw it blooming, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or not because it seemed like the petioles were kind of floppy. Whenever you have big flowers like that, I'm sure it's hard for the plant to hold them up. But some are standing up quite nicely, like this one back here. So I'm debating on if I'm keeping this plant or not. I'll probably keep it for another bloom cycle and then decide. And this is a really gorgeous Streptocarpus. This is DS Striborg. Look how trumpet-shaped the bloom is. Really nice. Over here, this is just starting to bloom. This is Hunter's Slippery When Wet. Still a rather small plantlet. Hasn't gotten very big yet, but I'm glad to see it's blooming true. I like to let things bloom and make sure they're going to bloom true before I decide if I'm going to keep the plant. And this is another Streptocarpus. I believe it's called Sunland. Let me check here. CD Sun City. And I got it because yellow blooms are not very prominent in African violets, but you can find them in Streptocarpus, and so to have some yellow in my collection, I got this. Very pretty flower. The plant itself really suffered in shipping. A couple of the leaves were almost dead, and I'm waiting for the new leaves to start growing in nicely so I can cut these older, more damaged ones off. Here's another plant that's starting to bloom. This is Picasso. I just love this cultivar. It really shapes itself into a beautiful plant. So these are my most recently acquired plants. I have a couple that are older here. I have Optimara Ingrid. This one I need to turn. It's turning toward the window. I believe this one is Boo Man. It's got pretty light blue blooms. And this is Optimara Trinidad. So how I knew, I bought these, I bought myself some LED light strips. They're 4-foot light strips, and I have 4 shelves that I needed to light. So I went on Amazon and I bought these light strips. I'll insert the photo of the ones that I bought. They're from Barina. These are the lights that I purchased from Amazon, the Barina Plant Grow Lights. Full Spectrum Daylight White, T8 LED grow light strips, and they are 5,000 Kelvin. They are high ppfd, which means the amount of light that hits a plant at any given moment in time is the ppfd. And for African violets, you only need about like 60 to 90 ppfd. So in order to get that sort of a lighting from this light source, as I'm looking here at their diagram, you have to have the plant surface about 20 or maybe even 24 inches below the light surface, and mine were only about 12 inches away. So it's a very intense light, very high as they advertise ppfd. It has a full spectrum light, which is specifically meant for plants. A 42-watt. Violet Barn recommends 10-watt LED lighting, so I should have known if I had read that first not to get a 42-watt. very high output. They're meant for seed starting and growing young seedlings, and meant for growing vegetables and crops that require actually full sunlight. So this is really way more light than African violets would require. They're marketed as plant grow lights, and we installed them. They were super easy to install. I was just really thrilled. They were very bright, and I thought initially, wow, this is great. You know, everything's really illuminated nicely. And then I started noticing problems with my plants. I started seeing burn marks. See how the foliage is kind of burnt here? Not on every plant, but on several. This one here has a different type of burn mark. This is not from water spotting. This is from burning. Actual burned leaves. And I changed how I let the light distribute on these plants by putting paper over the lights. And as soon as I did that, I started noticing healthy new growth. Here's another one that's got a burn. This is Ma's Arctic Sky after being under those intense lights for a few weeks. On the left, you see a picture of the plant before the intense lighting hit, and then on the right side, you see the plant after the intense lighting. Here's that same plant. You can see the browned outer leaves, and since I've reduced the intensity of the lighting, the central leaves are growing in normally. So I think I'm on the right track. And this plant here, this is a Jolly Orchid, and it is really freaking out from the intensity of the LED lights. It's getting these dark splotches on the leaves. And most of my other plants were okay. They didn't show burning per se, but they're doing much better since I did adjust my lighting. I got the Photone app on my phone, spelled Photone, and that is a free app that you can go to the App Store and get. I have an iPhone, and with this app, you can take a measurement. You have to put a little piece of paper or something over your over the top of your phone where pictures are taken. That's to diffuse the light. Or you can buy a special light diffuser, but you don't have to. You can just use a piece of paper across the top. Anyway, trying to keep this as short as possible, the Photone app can measure what they call ppfd, which I don't want to get technical, but that is, in essence, that is the amount of light or the intensity of light that's hitting the leaves at any certain time. So it's the intensity of light at that moment in time. Well, when you're growing your plants under lights that are pretty even all day, and that figure is going to stay the same. No matter if you measure it at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., your light is the same regardless, unless you have a little additional light from outside, which can add to it. But anyway, it's basically not going to change too much over time. Then there's a second measurement that you're going to look at, which is called DLI, and that is a measurement of light that your plant receives for the entire day. So how it calculates that is you take the ppfd that you get at any certain reading, and then you dial into the app how many hours per day you leave your lights on, and it'll give you the DLI. Now, according to the AVSA article that I read, the optimal DLI for African violets is like 0.5 up to maybe 3.5. And my DLI was reading, with my lights only on for 7 hours a day, it was reading 7, 8, 9, 10. I thought, oh my goodness, that's way more than it should be. So what I ended up doing was covering these really super bright LEDs with paper. I contacted the company. I contacted Barina, and I explained to them that I needed to dim these lights. I thought if I could dim them by, 50%, that would take care of the problem. Well, they wrote me back and said, no, their lights are not dimmable. They don't sell a dimmer. There's no way to dim them. So basically, a lot of people have suggested that I just shorten the period of time that the lights are on, but you're still blasting them with a pretty good dose of lighting all at one time. I think that would stress the plant much more so than if I lowered the intensity of the lighting and extended the number of hours. So that's what I did. I actually put these pieces of paper or sheets of paper. I've had other people suggest that I use bubble wrap, saran wrap, anything else that you might be able to cover them with. But I used the printer paper, and I increased my number of lighting hours to about 11 hours per day. And when I did my readings, my DLI came out at about 0.5 up to about 2.5, which is much better. So the plants seem to be doing a lot better. And also I have the lights turn off automatically from about 1 to 4 in the afternoon because I get some direct sunshine in here in the afternoon from outdoors. And I have a nice sheer curtain there to reduce the intensity of the outside light. And also to provide, since it's wintertime, it provides a little insulation from the cold outdoor air coming in through the window there. So as you can see, my lights have just turned off here. And I was having quite a bit of trouble with the intense lighting, and I had never realized that that was a problem for me, to have the lighting be too intense. Now, I don't know. I've heard that LEDs are much more intense light than fluorescent, and that may be so. I used to previously grow under fluorescent lights, and, I was getting tight centers. I was having a lot of issues. The plants weren't thriving nicely. So I may have been giving them too much fluorescent light too. I didn't do any type of light measurement when I had fluorescence. And I would have the lights on for 12 hours a day because that's what was recommended by everybody. And I didn't think anything of it. So anyway, we'll be coming back in the future to follow the progress of these plants and how they're developing. This is Anne, believe it or not. It was not doing well at all, and now it's been in improved conditions for a couple of months, and you can see in the center it's starting to come back with our typical Tommy Lou variegated leaves. But it was really struggling. I had neglected it for a couple of years. I'm really fortunate that it didn't crump and die on me. So that is my brief story about my LED lighting. Like I said, I'm far from an expert, but I did educate myself on what type of lighting is best for violets as far as intensity and duration, and I thought I would just share with you. So if you want to measure for yourself, you can get the Photone app and check out how your conditions are. Now, of course, there are individual plants like this one here that apparently don't like as much light, and others, like this mini here, this is Cajun's Little Joy, it seemed just happy and fine with the intense light. So you have to kind of watch your plants, see how each individual plant reacts to the conditions that you have, and go from there. But I think in general, the adjustments I've made will be helpful. This is Fisherman's Paradise, if you can believe it. It's slowly coming back. It looks like a mini or a semi-mini here, but I've had it a long time, and it was being neglected, and it was very stunted. So I'm looking forward to watching this one grow. I've repotted it, given it some regular fertilizer. It's getting light and water regularly, so we'll watch and see how it bounces back. This one, let me see what variety this is. This plant I actually have lost the tag for, and I suspect that it is Humako Inches. I'm not sure. It might be something different. I don't have a lot. I've got maybe 25 or 30 different types of African violet cultivars, so when it does bloom eventually I'll be able to ID it. But it was looking really good, and then when I hit it with the intense light, it just freaked out. I think I'm going to remove these burned little leaves here, and hopefully they'll just replace with new leaves from the crown. I was told that in addition to shortening up my hours of time that the lights were on, I could also increase the distance from one shelf to the next. My plants are about a foot below the lighting, but I really don't have that option. I don't want to lose extra space for my plants. I only have one light stand at this time, so I didn't really want to do that. This is my bedroom with a south-facing window. Now, while we're on the subject of lighting, I thought I'd bring you into my guest bedroom where I have some plants in some humidity domes, and they're not sitting in direct light. The direct light at this time of the year is only hitting this very corner here, this very edge. So I took my Photone app and I did some DLI calculations on these plants, and they're getting about 2 to 3 DLI, which is pretty good amount of light. Now, as the sun goes higher in the sky, as it becomes springtime, we're in winter right now, but as springtime comes, the sun is going to move higher in the sky, and it's going to have more intense rays. So what I'm going to have to do is adjust my slats here so that the indirect light is coming in and hitting the plants. It's still very bright, as you can see. And the DLI with the slats like this, in other words, the daily light index that the plants are getting, is about between 1 to 2, which is just about right for African violets. So I think I'll probably just leave these like this. I don't want to have the direct sun rays hitting the boxes here. When you consider those LED lights that I bought, they are sold by Barina, and they are marketed as grow lights. And when you think about it, they're actually for people that are growing vegetables and starting tomatoes and so forth, and those are full sun plants. So I don't really think those LED grow lights are really good for African violets unless you somehow can find a way to dim the light, move your plants farther, have a shorter period of time that they're under those lights, something. But I just wanted to caution everybody that's using LED lighting, because you may have some problems from it that you didn't even know existed. I hope this is helpful to some of you, and let me know about your lighting adventures if you have any advice or if you have any tips and tricks for lighting. Happy growing, and we'll see you all in the next video.